There's nothing like piping hot champagne.
New for 96. With your hosts, Kevin McCauley and Chris Nguyen.
No, I'm surprised that FM radio is still a thing.
Good. Yes.
I just don't understand morning shows.
Mm-hmm.
So what would if we were a morning show, what would our names be? It's always got to be something dumb. It's got to be like Carlos and the Chicken
Yeah. I don't know. Our show would be called
with the Morning Zoo.
Tequila Sunrise.
Tequila Sunrise.
Right.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Yeah.
But we would be drunk in the
Yeah.
morning instead of the evening.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where all the creativity comes from for us.
My nickname would just be Blackout.
Blackout in the Hangover.
One of my friends, my very good friend Ryan, worked for, because he went into like sports marketing, and so for college, well, that's what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And so for like every college summer, he got like he lived here. We went to high school together.
Yeah.
He would have internships. Like he had an internship with the Houston Texans. He had an internship with the Astros, and for the Astros, he had to like do promo stuff.
Yeah.
Like he drove the Houston Astros Hummer H2
Oh God.
to like the various Clear Channel awful radio stations.
Yeah. Oh my God. But what would he do when he got
I
there?
don't know, like hand out flyers or something.
He had
I
to
don't
fire
know.
up the hot
Tell
tub?
people to go watch baseball.
He had to pour the champagne into the hot tub and then fire it up.
Yes.
There's nothing like piping hot champagne, bathing
Yes.
in piping hot champagne.
That's right.
Yeah. Growing up, my best friend in high school, his dad owned an AM sports radio station, but it was Spanish, and I always wanted to be like an announcer. It was 920 Calle Este. I actually don't know if those are the real how you actually pronounce it because I studied French for 9 years and have completely forgotten everything. But I had good radio voice. I could do like movie phone. I guess that's not really the same as radio voice.
Close.
It's not NPR voice. It's not NPR voice.
Well, from what I understand about the Frasier program,
Yes.
there's a lot of money to be made in AM radio.
Oh my
so he
God.
probably had like a glorious penthouse.
Oh, yeah. High in the sky.
Wow.
He could afford a 7 series.
Mm.
An E65. No, the Frasier.
Yes,
if
I
you
know.
recall.
I'm aware. I'm aware. I do recall.
Yeah, so it's quite lucrative.
Yeah.
Apparently, also in AM radio, because on the show, like every single season, he has to renegotiate his contract, and
Yeah.
somehow there's just like room in the budget to constantly give him like 20 to 30% raises every year.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand how that works, but is AM radio still around? Much like how like CD players are not included in cars anymore, is there an AM button? I guess so, because they're still. I see
Probably.
billboards. Is that a prestigious thing, or not a prestigious thing nowadays to have your face on like a bus bench?
Oh, I don't know. This isn't going as well as I thought. We're gonna have to cut this out.
Yeah. No, we're gonna. This is the next 2 hours here.
Yeah. So what's our next 11 topics?
Oh, it's hard to say. So our friend Tom just picked up an interesting car. So he just picked up a.
What year is it?
I think it's a 95 or a 96.
Would
So
you
it's a
say that it's-
W140
Would you
S-Class.
would you
Yes.
say that it's
New,
for
for 96.
That's the name of our podcast. We haven't done an intro. So,
Yeah.
So we did it. So
Cue the intro music.
How are you? How are you, Chris?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. I'm trying to get back to this
Oh.
S-Class conversation.
Man,
You keep derailing us.
Steve Martin just signed off because he hates those intros. Yeah. So, yeah. Tom. Oh my God. Tom just bought a Toblerone
Toblerone.
green.
Tiramisu green.
Yeah. W140, which is really cool because you never see them in green. And
Mhm.
Kevin likes to describe this green as 90s SUV green.
Like Eddie Bauer Explorer green.
Yeah, two-tone.
Yeah.
No, his isn't two-tone, so I think it's a later year one. The earlier ones are two-tone.
Hey,
Anyways, yes.
Quick thing.
Yes.
Could we all agree to make the hashtag make green great again? Can that die? Can no one ever say that, please, ever again?
You're gonna have to delete a lot of those Instagram accounts
Oh,
then.
oh yeah, those accounts, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Can that just like, please, can we just not?
I know.
Could we not?
The thing is that like I love the color green for
Yeah.
cars, but
Mhm.
like accounts like that make me not want to buy a green car ever again.
Yeah.
So, but it's fine, I guess. Um,
Yeah, I would say this color, it's fine, it's good, but like 90s metallic green was like is like on the Explorer, it was on every SUV, it was fine. It's not like the like Irish green we covet and
Sure.
stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
a
fine.
metallic.
It's
It's
not
like
bad.
it's a
still,
blue green.
It's still good. It's just uh it's not maybe I have no problems with the
I
green.
like them.
I
Okay,
have no
so
problems with the green.
I
But
know.
I
No,
just
no, no.
don't think that any 90s car that is a metallic Eddie Bauer Explorer green is necessarily good.
I will disagree with you only because I think that might come from a personal experience from you seeing like so many of them. I like them. I like there are modern cars that come in that color. Porsche has rainforest metallic or something like that, which is kind of that same color. It's it's a little bit
Oh,
darker,
on
but
the
yeah.
996.
996 through 997. So and you get it on the Cayman and Boxster as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting just because it's a little bit different, and it is a car. Or it is a color that changes in
Yeah,
different
it's
light.
different. It's interesting on a sports car, but like
Yeah.
anything that's like a sedan or SUV, it's like, oh, well, that is the sedan or SUV color.
Maybe I like. I would have. I would not have.
I
minded-
don't think this is about the S class. I
Yeah.
think it's interesting there, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's being that color is not like necessarily
Oh, it's not
makes
automatically
something
good. No, I
interesting.
agree with you there. Yeah, because there are plenty of just like Geo Metros floating around with like that same green.
Yeah.
But I like in the right application. I don't know. Like a lot of those cars have also just kind of like withered away, anyways. So I think it's rare to see a green color. But they're usually in really shitty condition. So when you see them, they're basically gray.
Right.
So when you see, I don't know. I still like them.
Make green gray again.
Make green gray again. There you go.
That
We
was
can
that was
repurpose
the
the
bumper
accounts.
sticker on your 3 Series, which was
Yeah.
your wagon.
Yeah.
Which was green gray.
It was Tasman green.
Tasman
which,
green gray.
See, it was that color.
Graugrün.
Grün grau.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I don't know. Anyways, I would just because maybe I'm also just hypersensitive to wanting a color, like a car that is a color, because I can never find a car that is a color.
Right.
I would like the next car I buy to be green in some fashion.
Okay.
So,
Tasman green.
Tasman green. I don't know if I did find another 330i today. It's the wrong time, wrong place. But I think if this had been like several months ago, I would have considered it. But it's like this light green color, so super light green.
Okay.
And it changes. It kind of like it's blue in some lights and it's green in others. So it's kind of a neat color. Anyways, but it was like low mileage, good price, like all the options. Like I would have tried that again, probably briefly, of course. I would have sold it within the year, but it would have been it was one of the better daily drivers that I had.
Yeah.
But it would have been a nice green to play with.
And just a
guess.
sedan, because they never made a 330 wagon.
No, well, not here. So
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, no. Tom's 140 is the short wheelbase S420. So it is a later year because I think in the earlier years the number came first before the model designation.
Oh, I remember that being a big
Yeah.
deal.
So his would have been like a 420 SE if it were like an older one.
What's the SE? What's the E?
So it was. I don't know what the E means, but it was just always like SE for short wheelbase, and then SEL for long wheelbase.
Oh, there was no
So-
just S.
No.
Oh,
So
I didn't know that.
yeah, so that it really was kind of like a departure, I guess, when they went to like S420.
Yeah.
And then I don't think there was like an L designation. It was just like it was either long wheelbase or it wasn't.
You know or you don't.
Yeah, you know or you don't. So, but his car is cool. So it's the V8. It is large and in charge. Like when he got it, I was almost certain that the size of the car was going to be equivalent to like just like a mid-size, like a Camry or an Altima or something. But it's still king of the road. Like it's like 240 5 inches long, something like that.
Wow.
Which is extremely long. For like reference, in period, the LS 400. So my Celsior was 196 inches.
Wow.
So this is just the short wheelbase one. So the long wheelbase one is like 200 and I don't know, 12
So
inches,
is this
something
the kind
like
of
that.
car that Princess Diana was killed
Yes.
in?
Yeah. I think she was in the long wheelbase
Wow.
one.
Why did you have to go there?
Wow. I had to be clarified that it was the long wheelbase one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah. It's too
there you
soon
have
to
it.
clarify that it's the long wheelbase.
Yeah. I want to so like just seeing his car, I I'm like kind of curious. I have like the itch now to find like a kind of Luxo barge of that era in a Mercedes, whether it's that or maybe like an R129 or something, because
Mhm.
they all seem to be like inexpensive, or
Yeah.
they're either really inexpensive for like a low mileage one, or for some reason there's always like the fringe case like $60,000 one. So
Yeah. When Matt Farah had that SL, it
yeah,
was like the good spec.
it was the good spec.
It was silver with the silver wheels and the hard
Yeah,
top, like the monoblocks, and it
yeah.
was
Did he have
perfect.
monoblocks or
Yes.
okay? I
Yeah.
thought he had like the star-shaped
No,
wheels.
no, no. He had monoblocks.
Okay.
Like it was just
Oh
right.
man, 129s look so good
Yeah.
in with monoblocks, like big
Yeah.
monoblocks,
Mm-hmm.
and with the
And
hard top
silver
on.
with the hard top, like
Yeah.
silver wheels, silver car. It's just like so good.
Yeah, I would. So I'm just curious, like if like why they're so cheap, just mostly across the board, is if they are just catastrophic to own. But I don't know. I'm like curious. I'm curious enough to like buy one if like a local one appeared, it was good in good condition. I'd be curious to own one for just like a few months, like just for
Yeah,
fun.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, and they make. I don't know if this is okay. So R129 with a manual, is that counterintuitive to the experience of that car? I mean, it's kind of it's not a grand tour. I guess it is a tourer.
It is a tour.
Yeah, just not a grand one, I guess, because it only has 2 seats.
Sure.
Sure. Isn't grand tour you have to have
I don't know.
2 seats? A
Honestly,
GT?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know
Anyways,
about that.
so but having a manual in that car, because you're supposed to kind of even in the SL, you're supposed to waft. So
Yeah.
having a manual, it might be kind of. It's like when people do S62 swaps in E38 7 Series.
Right.
It's
You don't
like
want a manual in that.
yeah, it's kind of weird because
You're like, now I want to swap this to a smaller car.
yeah, I want to make it like this hard, aggressive sports car, but
Right.
it still weighs like 2.5 tons and is 20 feet long.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
So an SL with a manual, you're limited to the V6, which was like 3.2 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it's not super fast. I mean, I think like a V8 is it would be cool with that car, but I also think like for your usage, like having a manual that's not the 911 would be cool,
yeah, I mean,
especially if this is like a third car.
yeah, that's what I'm definitely itching for right now. Is I'm poking around Craigslist ads for non-M BMWs, where it might be just kind of fun to like putter around at the grocery store or something with something that's a manual, but like a slightly more modern manual. So,
Yeah.
and maybe that's what that would be. I don't know that it would be like an engaging drive, like an R29, 129 with a manual, but it could be kind of interesting. I mean, like it's rare enough to have a Mercedes that's a manual to begin
Yeah.
with.
Back
So,
when we had the BRZO app,
Yeah.
RIP, I used to have a search of manual Mercedes. It
Yeah.
was always interesting, like weird like C classes and stuff.
Yeah.
And occasionally an R129.
they've never been heralded for being good manuals
True.
because no one ever spec'd them, so I don't think they ever invested in engagement.
Well, and no one that got them like in Europe, like they were like the cheapest.
Yeah, they're
spec,
taxis
spec.
basically. Yeah. So yeah, I would imagine like that search in the U.S. nowadays would just yield like 90% of them would be the what is that, the C class? What is the small one? The hatchback? The
Compressor.
compressor. It's always compressor. So
God, what was it called? It was a C230.
yeah. I remember that.
Shitbox.
Yes.
I don't know. What did they called it?
I wanted to like that in period so much. Like just the idea of it seemed cool because it had like a panel roof. You could get in a manual,
It's
but
so ungainly.
it's so
It's like-
unattractive.
It's
yeah.
really unattractive. Like you're starting with a really ugly C class, and then that C class, which is probably the ugliest.
Yeah, the 2.0. I forget the
4,
something like that.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
It's an ugly C class, and then, but it could be spec'd decent with like
Yeah.
the right wheels and the right color. But they're none of like the compact is just really bad.
Yeah. And we've talked about the 3 Series compact, and
Cool all day long.
I like the E36 version. I don't like the E46
I
version.
mean, it sucks. It objectively sucks.
looks
it's awful,
horrid.
but it's cool.
Yeah, the idea of it is definitely cool.
But just the like the weirdness is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like
it's really optimistic. Like the design is like it's so like early 2000s optimistic. They were like, we are not going to do a traditional car,
Yeah.
much like other people who tried that as well.
back, man, I don't still have it, but back in my high school days,
Yeah.
I used to go to Barnes and Noble like once a week to look at the car magazines and maybe think about purchasing one.
Yeah.
And it would always be between like Evo or Top Gear or Car. But like I remember seeing that, and it was on the cover of Auto Express, which is like the weekly world
Oh,
news
yeah.
of British car mags.
Yeah.
It really is like the news of the world.
Yeah.
And I bought that issue because I was like, I have to know more about this. Like, it's so weird. Like, it was, like, I think it might have leaked or something.
Yeah.
Or it was like like they had just gone to print
Yeah.
about the car that was revealed, and it seemed too weird to believe. And like none of the car, there's like no car websites that back then.
Yeah.
So like nothing, I couldn't really find anything about it online. It was
That's
like,
so
it was
we-
so weird.
It's so weird that that was revolutionary, or that it made big news because it was just it's the entry model to get people into the brand.
But it's so weird. I mean, BMW, their styling was so conservative. This was
Yeah.
probably the first like bangle. This was like, hey, this is the stuff I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? This was before the E65.
Here's the hint of the next 10 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was before the E65, and BMW was, I mean, some would say conservative, but I would say like just very,
It's not
deliberate.
it's not. It's unoffensive. It is serious.
and they didn't do variations.
Right.
Like there wasn't like they would do a facelift, and it would be like, oh, a nip and tuck. Like you might
Yeah.
notice the difference if you're a giant nerd, but like you're not going to see it. But they
it's-
wouldn't do like, here's an all new fascia for our cheap version.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
And that was,
Which was daring because
Insane.
in theory that was the volume model. So
in theory, I don't know if they ever thought it would be. I think it was just like, I think it was like a late mid life cycle. Like, how can we generate more sales from this platform?
you forgot the word impulse.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't.
That is kind of funny too. Just thinking about like the E36, the 318 Ti, if E36, that was supposed to be kind of like the introduction to the brand. If you didn't want to, I think it was like it was like $23,000 or something like that. It wasn't like very expensive,
Right.
but it wasn't a volume seller either.
No, I don't think it was expected to be. I think it was
Yeah.
like, how can we like get the very bottom of the market,
Yeah. Which makes sense too because
or like lower the floor of our market. Like
Yeah.
this isn't going to be for everyone,
'Cause-
but it's like for the people that might be interested, but
Yeah.
that don't want to like, pay
'Cause-
the money for a normal 3 Series.
And that was an interesting. I mean, maybe this speaks to its success or lack thereof, but it was a hatchback, which in America is like at that time, someone probably would have said, "Why would they name a car after its worst feature?" Because hatchbacks were so like derided then.
yeah.
So hatchbacks are cool now. Everyone wants a hatchback. Everyone has a hatchback. A CUV is just like a tall hatchback.
Well, and like things like the Golf always looked great. Like
Yeah.
the hatchback always looked good.
Yeah.
And then it's like things like the 318 Ti, which I'm a fan, like
Yeah.
I said, but it's like this is why people hate hatchbacks. Because I mean, it is like literally a truncated,
Yeah.
detruncated,
Yeah.
3 Series. Like it's like this is
You know
why
what?
people hate hatchbacks.
But that's just it. Like that's the design language, and I'm surprised they didn't figure this out earlier. But like basically, what makes the hatchback unattractive is when the rear glass is like really raked back. I feel like versus like a GTI, which is boxy like a wagon.
Whoa,
Prove me wrong.
Way off.
Prove me wrong.
Because when it's not raked, raked is sporty. When it's not raked, it looks like a minivan. This was the mistake.
No.
Famously.
Yes.
Famously.
Oh my God.
We're not talking about hatchbacks, but
Kevin's eyes are so large now.
I'm glowing.
Yes.
The ML320, the first one,
Yes.
they company-wide were like, oh, we screwed this up because we made it look like a minivan. Everyone said it looked like a minivan. And so when BMW came into it, they said, we're not going to make the mistake of the ML320. We're going to make the rear glass of the X5 like very raked. So it looks like sporty, like a sport wagon, like not like a minivan.
Okay, no, fair enough. What I mean is, by rakish, I mean like, or the rake. I don't mean like a little bit of an angle, because the X5 is not like it's not the X6, so it is raked a little bit. But I mean like the 318 was like it was that classic kind of trapezoid shape of a hatchback.
That was fine. The problem was that it
I think it would have been better if it was like a truncated wagon instead, like what a GTI is basically.
Well, that's what it should have been. The problem was that it had like a stub of a trunk.
Yeah.
Like a vestigial trunk.
Oh yeah, it did have the little lip, which is part of the design language.
Well, but it was
BMW
bad.
at the time.
It should have had a vestigial. It should not have had that vestigial trunk.
Yeah, that was strange, but overall it was just like a strange. Like, it seemed grafted.
Yeah.
One way or another. So
Yeah.
I don't think there was any saving that, anyways. And the interior was like terrible. It was just like, what if we just updated the E30 interior and put it into the next generation? And that's what it was.
Well, they wanted to match the suspension.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But when I was in Europe in 2019, I did see like 3 E46 compacts, and I
Wow.
was so excited each time.
That is rare. It's like seeing what is the Fiat Multipla?
Oh yeah.
Like hideous, but I would get so excited if I saw one.
Oh yeah,
So
totally.
I think I saw. Oh no, in Japan I saw a bunch of Avantimes.
Oh.
Avantimes, yeah,
They
and I got
didn't
excited
sell
seeing
a lot-
that.
They didn't sell a lot of those.
No, and it was in this alley parking lot with like 6 cars, and the other cars were an Alpine A310
Mm-hmm.
and 3 W12 Touaregs. So that was like a very
Wait,
specific
the A110 or A310?
A310.
A310. Those are so cool.
They were really cool.
So
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So, and I think the W12 Touaregs are really cool. We never got those over here. And they're probably parked there 3 in a row for a reason. They don't move.
Yeah.
But as that goes.
We were talking the other day about the Sciroccos.
Yes.
And I said something stupid online about the Sciroccos, but like
I knew you were going to get ratioed.
No, I didn't.
Ugh,
Well, kind of.
you
Only
should
by
have.
Derek. Derek really set the tone, and everyone liked his tweet saying that he unfollowed me. But anyway, we love Derek. He's
what
not
did you
listening.
express?
Just that
tell the people.
The Scirocco, like, I've never looked at one. Like, I've seen them, and I've never looked at one. I cannot imagine putting up with 35, 40-year-old VW BS to have
It's-
a 40-year-old like VW driving experience.
It's like why people like the original GTI, the Mark 1.
But that's different. That's different.
Is it different?
Yeah.
I think this is a little bit more niche. The Scirocco is a little bit more niche, but it's that same thing where it's this accessible, engaging car. So this is why people like them. It's revered. And
Okay, the GTI was like the first hot hatch.
yes.
The Scirocco is like, what if we took a car that looks like a Supra but sucks to drive?
No.
And it's going to be like a nightmare to maintain.
No.
All of the above.
I mean, like, I think they were all nightmares to maintain, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
But no, I think, like, the point was that, like, they were going to make something a little bit more, I mean, exotic is the wrong word, but
Yes.
it was upmarket a little bit in that way that Volkswagen became that in the 90s, where it was like, it's basically, on the same plane as a
What if
Toyota
something
or a
required
Nissan,
premium maintenance but didn't have a premium driving
which
experience?
was Volkswagen in the 90s.
In 80s.
But I think they're cool. I mean, they may not like. It's one of
Okay.
those things where I think you have to be a little bit romantically involved with it or
Sure.
emotionally
Yeah,
involved
you have to have
with it.
a connection.
So,
and
'cause,
that's
yeah,
fine.
I'm sure
And
there are better
I'm
cars.
not
Like,
going to fault
an
anyone
E30 is
for
gonna be
that.
better,
I'm not going to
but-
fault anyone for that. But
Yeah.
the 2000 like 9 Scirocco, like I think that's the coolest. I
Yeah,
love those.
I do think that's really cool. Yeah, it's a cool exercise because they didn't need to make it. Like there was no.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
It looks really good. I
I
love
do
those.
too. And we were also talking about the Corrado, which we like. I was.
You brought up the Corrado. We were arguing about the Scirocco, and you realized you were talking about the Corrado.
I was also yeah, but to be fair, I still like the Scirocco and also the Corrado because then we transitioned to like the 90s.
Yeah.
And the Corrado is cool. You at first dismissed it, and there was a nice, just kind of like little story arc, emotional arc where
Was
you're
there?
yeah, we went through like Google Images, and you were like, oh, okay, no, actually, it's kind of cool. And it is cool.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, so
It's kind of cool.
and like I mean, it had the VR6, or you could get it with the VR6.
Yeah.
And like it is a little bit engine over the front axles look, but
Sure.
still, it kind of looks.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks
Yeah.
good. You never see them in that one that we looked at Avant-Garde was like yellow, and that was cool.
Yeah, and there was one at Redwood Austin. I think it was a yellow one, but
Ooh.
it was cool. But
Next time I see one, I will be more excited than
okay,
the last time I saw
good because
one. Corrado only.
you know what? Like any of those things, the Scirocco, the Corrado, like probably a little bit more engaging than what you could find today. And this is not
Oh, wait,
like
let's transition to Radwood.
oh yeah, we can do that.
So Radwood Austin was postponed,
Yeah,
and we're pretty bummed.
we're bummed about that. We understand, of course.
Understand, of course,
Yeah.
the Austin permitting provisions and things, and
Yeah.
just things going on with COVID. So understand, like, safety first,
Yeah.
totally, and it's not good. Like Radwood does not want to take the risk of having an event and then having to tell everyone to go home when they've already driven there. So,
Yeah, yeah.
I totally understand.
Yeah, it's supposed to be about 2 weeks from now, and so
yeah.
it's been postponed to next February
Yeah.
2022, which gives us a little bit more time to collect our bits, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
So, and I was gonna drive. So last time I took the 92 Celsior up, but that is sold. So I'll be taking the 86 Carrera this time. And you were gonna take what car?
Tom's Fiat Panda.
Yes.
I was gonna drive the Panda.
And it maxes out at what speed?
Okay, here's the thing. It will go 60
Yeah.
all day long. It does
Okay.
not. It does no 65. I would say not so
And
good.
what is the speed limit on Texas highways?
75?
And what speed do people actually go?
100.
Yes. And I offered to be like support vehicle to you because I feel like you probably need some sort of you need a motorcade of some kind to prevent you from just being run over by like a lifted pickup truck.
Yeah.
But so you have more time to prepare yourself because also we met up with
Tom
recently.
mentioned. Yeah, Tom said that there's like a bunch of things like the steering, or I don't know, like the sway bar. No, not sway bars.
It was the tie rod.
Tie rods.
Yeah, and basically he's just waiting on the parts to come in, but there was a possibility that it wouldn't arrive in time for Radwood, and
Oh,
he
very
was just saying
real
like you just have to be
possibility.
careful because if you hit like an expansion joint wrong, it may just go shooting off to the
Well,
side.
I remember from driving it, like it was comfortable at 60, but like if you go like 70, like
Yeah.
it was very easily persuaded by the road
because I think that's
surface.
past red line also.
No,
so.
it was not past red line because I was able to get it to like.
Well, we don't know that because it doesn't have a tachometer.
No, I'm talking about true, but yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yes, but anyway, so you were going to drive that up to Redwood, which
Yeah.
would have been really cool.
It
Actually,
was really
'cause
cool, and hopefully
I think
I'll
people
still
would have
get
been
do
excited to see it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. So,
Yeah.
to be continued.
To be
I
continued.
still would like to do a video about the Panda,
Yeah.
like soon.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, we'll have more time. And I've been putting together the wardrobe online, and I was panicking a little bit because I just realized that it was only 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
And so now I have a few months to
Me too.
complete that.
Me
so,
too. I still have to finish my shirt
Yeah.
design.
Yeah. Kevin is going to have a bespoke apparel for the show. So,
Again.
again, yeah. We'll actually probably go to Redwood, LA before we go to Redwood, Austin.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we may. Oh, so I'll have to get on it a little bit because it's in December. November. Okay, it's in November. Oh, it's
Yeah.
end of November.
We think so. We haven't looked at the dates. We've been talking about this for a month. We haven't looked at the dates.
Yeah. Well, I looked it up because we were talking about this, and you were thinking about staying in LA for Autopia, 2099, which is also happening just shortly thereafter. But it's actually, I think it's 2 weeks apart.
Okay, yeah, that's not
So that's probably not going to
probably
be
not gonna be happening.
yeah, because I thought about staying up there, but 2 weeks is maybe a bit much.
It's a bit much.
Yeah. So like on this subject though of Radwood era cars, you wanted to talk about how there's been discussion about old cars and how they're suddenly just skyrocketing. It's not a
Yeah.
new thing, but why are people valuing old cars, from the 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s now?
Right.
We're moving to that period, and they're going for nuts money, and it's not even, because of the pandemic and shortages and whatnot. It is because of something else. So,
Wow, thank you. That was like a real like Stone Phillips introduction.
thank you. That was my NPR
Yeah,
thing.
it's our friend Victoria Scott was tweeting, as she sometimes does, about how cars, like all of the cars that were cool from the 80s, from the 90s, are now unaffordable to anyone, especially if you're under 30, and you're, like starting out in your career, and everything is unaffordable and everything is accelerating at such a rate that when your salary catches up in 5 years, things are going to be
Yeah.
that much more unaffordable still. And I sympathize, of course, and just I observe this, and yeah, like I think that this is like, I don't blame Bring a Trailer. I don't blame Radwood for
Yeah.
hyping these cars. I don't think it's one thing, and this is independent of the like used car market boom that
Yeah.
we're seeing. The used car market boom is like more newer cars, and there's new cars. This is not like chip shortage related. Like no one is buying an E30 for 25K because they cannot get a new G69 3 Series.
Yeah.
So,
And by the way, 25K for like a 318i.
yeah. So I was thinking about this, and I think there was like a dumb Twitter thing. Cut that out. I think this is just part of like, I think there's something new cars do not offer.
Yeah.
That is the reason people are seeking out old cars,
Yeah.
and not necessarily, I mean, obviously it's all car enthusiasts. It's not like normal people are like,
Yeah.
I want a 30-year-old car, but it's the idea of a car from the 90s is much more palatable to people when it's like, oh, I could spend all this money and go into crushing debt to have a new car that has no steering feel and sucks.
Yeah.
And is very fast and has CarPlay, but also is miserable.
Yeah, and I think it's more than just I mean, this is a conversation that's been had endlessly, essentially forever. But it's not just that they don't make them like they used to. It's
That is what we were saying. Yes, you did
Yeah.
summarize me.
It is that, but
you
it's
summarized
something
my
else.
5,000 words into
It's
8.
It's not just that. It's just that they will never make them again like they did. Like we are
Right.
in like 20 years, we're not gonna look back and say like, oh man, like you remember how cars drove in 2020? Like
Yeah, well, it's
it won't be the case. Like they will probably drive in 20 years like they do now. It's just that we'll all be in electric cars and be able to accelerate from
It'll
0 to
be
60 in 1 second.
well, it'll be a refrigerator that has a TV, and
Yeah.
you sit in it. Well, actually, I don't think they'll be autonomous, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
I don't want to give it.
But
oh my God, this is so
we're
boring.
coming to like, I mean, people. It's not to say that all new cars are this numb. I mean, obviously there are good new cars that are coming out and are engaging,
there?
but yeah, arguably.
Yeah.
But I think gone are the days where you're gonna look at like a compact car, like an economy car, say from the 90s, where we might actually find that a little bit. It can be engaging. It is more engaging than say like a 2020 Corolla, like a
Or a 2020 M4.
yeah. So, like there's a reason why like even like, like a 1994 Ford Taurus, not even a show, is like it has some value on the auction market because it is an experience. I mean, that's probably a little more nostalgia, but
what I posited a few weeks ago is like, we are in a time where, like, never in car history have we been looking at the past cars like we are now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's arguable.
Yeah.
I think like there's never been a time where it's like the nostalgia, and nostalgia is like kind of a loaded term, but like where we look back and think these cars were so good, like I want that. I'm more interested in a car from 2001 than a
Yeah.
car from 2021. Like we've never
Yeah.
had such a widespread idea of that, where it's like, oh, like talk BMW M3s. Literally any BMW M3 is more appealing than the one they sell right now. Like we've
Yeah.
never really had that
Yeah.
on such a widespread scale.
And I'll,
And that's weird.
It is
like
weird.
it's weird, and that is, I think that is fueling a lot of this.
Yeah, I'll like frame it another way too. It's so, like with people on Twitter talking about cars, there's always like weird niche fascinations, and you and I have engaged in like the love of the XV10 Camry, which
Sure.
is the 92 through 96 Toyota Camry. And at the time, I mean, it was just like a generic family car, basically. But can you imagine, like, in 20 years, kids looking back and saying, like, oh, do you remember that, like, Uber car that mom and dad had? Like, you remember, like, these fond memories of it and, like, it being your first car and driving it? Like, there was something, I don't know. I mean, that's less about the driving experience, I suppose. But,
Yeah.
like, still, I don't think that car had a certain charm to it. Still does.
Right.
Versus
Well,
like
to people
today's
that don't
cars.
know, like that Camry was like, it was made to like Lexus was brand new, and Lexus introduced standards of quality that were unheard of in the
Yeah.
industry, and then Toyota seemingly built a Camry to those same standards, and it was $20,000
Yeah.
instead of 50, and
Yeah.
it was a revelation.
Yeah. And every car is so much the same now. Like every car especially it just kind of like in the meat of the market. Like
But I mean, and that's fine. And I'm not gonna say all new cars suck, even though I said it 3, 4, 5 times before. They
It's-
like everything has features, everything has safety features, everything performs everything you need to. If I had to drive across town in rush hour, I would probably take a new Nissan fill in the blank over
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
But when our enthusiast cars are so lackluster, and I haven't driven every enthusiast car in the market, but when, the newest AMG has, a number 5.3 on it, and I
Yeah.
assume a 2-liter inline 4 turbo and no
Yeah.
steering feel, it's like, that is disappointing. Anyway, please carry on.
Yeah, it is disappointing. Well, no, just I mean like on that point of just like the enthusiast part too. I do think that in the past we're rediscovering like normie cars as enthusiast cars. And
Yeah,
that's part of it.
yeah.
But the other part too is it's also just kind of I don't know, the spirit of design, the spirit of intent. Like just back to that like XV10 Camry thing where it is like that was such a differentiated product from everything else. And if you were to ask like some random person on the street in that era, they could probably identify, even if they weren't a car person, they could identify a Taurus from a Camry, from a Maxima.
I mean, this is getting into like styling and speculation.
No, I just mean like this is part of the equation though.
Okay.
Like why like I think like today it's the same, it's part of that equation. It's not just driving experience, but it's also just today it feels like cars are designed by way of algorithm. Like what's going to sell? Like people want like a lot of lines. People want a lot of like dimensional features, dimensional like surfacing and etc. And so some car companies do it well, other car companies do not, where it's just kind of trickle down amalgamations of. But anyways, this is a tangent. I wanted to round that conversation out with part of the reason why I think we desire those old cars more is because they are so unique. Like they all have unique personalities versus I don't think they do today. I mean, back then, like a Sentra had a different personality from a Corolla, and today I don't think you could say the same thing. Like they're
Absolutely, the new Corolla is good.
okay. The new Corolla does
And
look
the new
good,
Sentra,
yeah.
but the new
still-
Corolla looks good. And like I said, if I had to drive across town in rush hour in the heat, like I would drive that Corolla
Sure.
all day long. That'd be great.
Well, yeah, like now what you have is a very predictable experience, which is a sellable point. Like
Right.
all cars are predictable now. Well,
Sure.
not they're
I think
they
we're
are
talking
not.
about different things, because like my problem is not that every car is like every car is at a higher. There's a higher floor of quality where it's like the entry,
Sure.
the table stakes
Yeah.
are much higher. It's just a car has to be good.
Yeah.
But when our like enthusiast cars and
Yeah.
the
Oh no.
Supra and all these things
Yeah.
and everything BMW makes are like just so disappointing.
Yeah.
Can I talk about the 530?
Fine.
This is like I told you this, but I drove, or I didn't drive. We rode in. I rode in with Daniel Turo to 530 in Tulsa.
Yeah.
BMW 2020 530.
Yeah. You should
Which
clarify
was-
that you were just in Tulsa to visit some
I
people.
was in Tulsa, and the first car I ever drove was a black BMW 530. So to be
Yeah.
in a 2020 black BMW 530, it's like, oh,
I can't believe it was a 3-liter V8, just
Is
like
it-
the original one.
It was just like the original, yeah. 2-liter inline four turbo, dog shit, everything.
Yeah.
Sport line, Cap S, Cap L trademark on the door sill.
That was news to me that because
it lights up.
a sport line has always existed, except that now they've made it like a
brand.
thing TM.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that is astonishing.
Yes.
So did Daniel give it like the beans?
I couldn't tell.
Okay.
I think he did. I couldn't tell, but yeah.
Yeah.
It makes quite a sound of
Yeah. Angry 4-cylinder.
yeah. You can't hear any of it, but you
Yeah.
know.
I thought about that the other day.
I told him to turn the volume up so I could hear the engine. From
Yeah.
The speakers.
I thought about that the other day when I was driving behind a like a Mercedes E300, I think, and just
I
thinking
love
like
that 3-liter. That's a
3
silky
liter, that
silky
3-liter
3-liter
4-cylinder.
inline four with 2,000 cc's.
I just like it sucks. I mean, I get it. I understand why those exist, why those are everywhere, but it does suck a little bit that cars just like one last link back to our previous conversation, but like it was cool like that an E320 was a like premium V6 of some kind.
Sure, yeah.
So and now it means nothing like until you get to the V8, and now Mercedes isn't selling any V8s.
They're not selling V8s.
Yeah.
And
So
friend of the pod, Mac Hogan, had a really good article. He did some good research when he was in Germany for the auto show recently. He did some really good research about how Mercedes keep changing their story about why.
oh yeah, they just would not like clarify.
It was like a quality issue, but also potential emissions thing, but also potential regulations thing. Like it's super weird.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
it just like it was like very vague as far
Very
as like
vague.
if it was a quality issue, then they should probably like there's something tangible that they could say, but it's not. Anyway, so if you're, I guess we're not gonna have V8 Mercedeses for a while, but as that goes, which no, actually, so he mentioned in that article.
Yeah, it was a
that
really good
other
article.
people-
It was a really good article because he's like talking about
It's
how
so
this is the
mysterious.
most lucrative part of Mercedes business.
Yeah.
And also how AMG is selling literally the same engine still.
Yeah.
Or not AMG, sorry, Aston Martin.
Exactly, yeah, and something else, one other I think application where there's still a Mercedes V8, but for some reason Mercedes themselves
Yes.
cannot sell them.
Yes.
So for whatever reason. Well, should we do another episode of FMK?
An episode within an episode? Sure, why not?
Yeah, if you will.
Yeah. So this is Fuke, Marry, Kill, the game where we do classic FMK, but with daily and crush and drive once.
Fuke, marry, kill.
Fuke is drive once. Marry is live with it as a daily forever.
Yeah.
And kill is send it to the crusher.
Yeah. Okay, so this year we have selected new for 88.
88.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, it's not new for
88.
1996. It's new for 96, so it's new for 88.
Oh,
Anyways,
I get
so
it now.
we're doing cars introduced in 1988, and there are actually kind of a lot of notable cars
Okay.
introduced in 88. So why don't we do this? We're
Sure.
gonna go through the list really quick.
People
of
love
cars.
it when we read through the list.
Yeah, and then we talk about the pictures that we're seeing, but they can't see. So-
They're always taken in like a Norwegian parking lot.
Yeah. So, yeah, they are because we're using Wikipedia. So we're gonna go through the list really quick, and then I am gonna pick 3 cars for Kevin. And
But we're
he's-
going to interrupt each other with anecdotes about
Yeah.
each car.
Yeah, and then he's gonna pick 3 for me. So, okay, so we're gonna start with the Alpina B12. Oh, that'd be like a. Would that be
That's a bad gen.
E38
I mean,
yet?
no, that's a E.
Oh, yeah,
whatever.
because E38 didn't start until or
94.
E34. E34, I should say.
Is it a V34?
I think it could be. Okay. Okay.
I
Let's
think
start
that's like the one I saw in Germany.
the E32.
Yeah.
Oh, B12.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I showed you that picture.
Yeah. No, I don't remember that.
Okay, well, I'll show you after the show.
Okay, fine. Okay, the Audi V8, which
That's
was
from the. Okay, there
kind
is.
of a boring looking car, but
Yeah, it's an Audi.
kind of cool that it was the first V8 Audi.
Okay, here's the thing.
Yes.
There's like a 6-year period of Audis that I find tolerable. The rest of them, I got to say no thank you. And that period is around this. Like everything after this S4 that you have, this diecast, like the
Yeah,
B5
these
S4, everything
yeah.
after that, for like 6-8 years, they were on fire. Then after that, not for me. Before
Yeah.
that, not for me.
Really, I
Oh
found
my
some of the early
goodness,
ones
no.
charming.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Ah,
They're all so like
You're
they're all
so
they
hateful.
all look like unevolved versions of the optimal form, which was this.
No, some of them
Absolutely.
were interesting.
I'm so
I
correct
like
on
the
this.
90
I'm
and I like
so
the 100.
correct on this. It's insane.
No, the Quattro.
You know what? Okay, you know what? Radwood, Chicago, I think.
Yeah.
They had pictures of that Quattro, the short one, the Sport Quattro, the Sport Quattro. That's
The
the
Quattro,
one.
yeah.
The Sport Quattro is the really short one.
Yeah.
God, that looks awful. It looks like a Delta Integrale drawn by a 4-year-old. It's
What
so bad. It is awful.
trauma
It is pure
did you
dog shit.
go through as a child?
It's like the front bumper is like 6 feet out because that's where the engine is.
Look, let's just
God,
move
it
on.
Sucks.
All right, look at this.
Okay.
Do you see what's next?
I see the Z1 is next.
The Z1.
I have 3 Z1 anecdotes.
Okay.
None of them are good. But when I went to Germany in 2019, the first time, me and Andrew Collins, we stopped at a store to get sunscreen.
Yeah.
And I swear I saw like a Z1 drive through a roundabout, which was cool.
Yeah, we saw like a Z1 at Redwood, LA a few years ago.
Yeah. Well, when I went to Monterey the first time in 2008, I told you I had 3 anecdotes. This is the second one.
Oh, God.
When I went to Monterey the first time, it was like the anniversary of the Z1, and
Yes.
there was like 20
Oh wow.
in Monterey for some reason.
That's crazy.
So in like 2008, and I saw a bunch of them in big groups and stuff.
The Z1, so what was it? Purportedly, you could change all the panels out in 45 minutes or something like that, and you'd
But
have
they
like
were
a
all
quote.
like one color. Like they only offered one color. It was like
Yeah.
the smart car, except they had one color.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I was watching like an old wheeler dealer where they were changing the color of a Z1, and it took like 6 hours to
Wow.
like disassemble all the panels.
I believe it. Well, so this is my third anecdote about
Yeah.
the Z1. When I went to Monterey with Daniel in 2016, we
Yeah.
went to like the German car show event,
Yeah.
which I normally don't go to, but we went to that.
Yeah.
And there was like 4 or 5 Z1s,
Yeah.
and there was a couple that were color changed, but it's like no one has the different headlights
Yeah.
for different colors. So there was like a black Z1, but it would have like red headlight housings.
Oh, interesting.
It was very
Okay.
weird.
Oh, that is weird.
Very disappointing.
Yeah, that is that is disappointing.
Off
we go.
For you, I don't have stories about the Buick Riata, which is next.
The Buick Riata.
Except I always say Riata is always the true answer, which is spells Riata.
I don't care for that. The Riata, I will say, like, the only thing I remember from this generation is I think it had like one of the first like touch screens for American market cars or U.S. market cars, but it was a CRT. I was obsessed with that as a kid because like anything with
Didn't
like buttons,
every like premium GM thing in 1988 have a CRT?
only like the weird like 2-door sedan-based coupes.
The Tornado.
The Tornado had one. The
But the Riata wasn't sedan
Riviera.
based, was it? Or was
I-
it like it would probably like Cimarron
I'm pretty
based or
sure.
something.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so yeah, I was obsessed with that, and my uncle like borrowed his friend's car once, and it had it, and I remember like I had to sit inside it, so he let me sit inside it, like the UI, if you could call it that, was like horrid. There was like no reason why it needed a touch screen, but it was there. Okay, so next up we have the Chevy Tracker, all right, and Chevy Tracker Americas, 2 designations. We're not going to click to find out what those are. Look at what's next.
They misspelled Chrysler apostrophe STC by Maserati. They
Oh
left
my
off
God.
the apostrophe
They
S.
did. Yeah, it's Chrysler. Well, on Wikipedia, it's Chrysler TC by
And
Maserati.
that's
But it's not
Zeta Marauder
Chrysler's. Yeah.
V16T.
Yeah. Wow, there's some notable names. Not good cars, but good notable names. The Eagle Vista.
I didn't realize the Zeta Marauder V16T predated the Diablo.
Oh, really?
This was 88. The Diablo was like 90 or
I guess so. I
91.
wonder if it's like, well, they.
Or if
I was
this
gonna say
is-
like, is it a Euro year thing? But actually, it would have only been that. So,
Okay, we do not need to click on the Eagle Vista.
okay.
Is that the Eagle Vista? Oh, that's kind of... Okay, do you know
Yes.
my Eagle thing?
No. You have a thing for everything, so I
I,
don't know.
I don't know why you're clicking on that. It doesn't matter about the car. I had a thing when I was a kid, and I would think about cars all the time,
Yes.
and I would see cars in the parking lot at my elementary school. And I always, because I only saw like the Eagle Vision and the Eagle Talon, and I thought that every Eagle car had to have like a physical attribute
Of
the
an
bird,
eagle?
of an eagle.
Yeah.
So it's like they're kind of limited. Like they can have wings, they can have feather, but
Yes.
the like the
The
they
Vision
had
did not fit
so I
that.
didn't know there was other ones because there
Yeah.
wasn't Wikipedia then.
Yeah.
So the Vista, I guess that kind of fits because it's like eagles soar there.
They see.
They soar. They see the Vista. They soar at the
Oh,
summit.
yeah. And Eagle Vision makes sense
Eagle Vision, it's an attribute of a
eagle-eyed.
bird. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow. That is really thematic.
Okay, you should get internet next time I come, but let's just keep
Dear
going.
God. Okay, Fiat Tipo, don't know what that is.
Nope.
Falcon, we didn't get that. Related to you, the Ford Porb.
Yeah, okay, 88.
This is the
not for
first
me.
gen.
Yeah, not for me.
First gen. So you didn't like that kind of like 240SX body style?
It's not good.
Okay. The show came out in '88. That's
Pretty
cool.
cool. That's
pretty
cool.
cool. Thunderbird 10th gen. That would be
Oh, I remember that.
that was the not quite yet the sleek looking one.
Right.
Slightly
it was
thicker.
Pre-facelift of that.
Yeah. So the Geo Prism.
Yep.
Okay. Holden Commodore. We didn't get that. Honda Concerto. We did
Didn't
not
get that. And the HSV, we didn't get that.
Yeah. Okay. The Scoop.
Ooh, the Scoop or
Scoop
the S
came
Coupe
out.
to the layman.
Yes. I didn't know that came out that early.
Mm.
And I think I recall what this looked like, and if my internet works, I know it doesn't. Well, I don't know what's going on here. So, this one just it didn't. This was before obviously the bug quad eye. So this was just like a normal looking.
You're thinking of the original Tiburon, which was 96.
Was it? Okay,
Yes.
maybe you're right.
thinking of the original Tiburon. That's why you're like, oh, I didn't know this came out that early. The Scoop was just like a
It's like a
Paseo
two-door
looking thing.
Okay, fine. The Carif, which is actually the Maserati Carif.
It's
Actually, that was
another
pretty cool.
biturbo.
Yeah,
It's another biturbo, like.
it is a biturbo, but it's like
Shamal-esque.
it has like a body kit.
Of course, they all
So,
do. They all do.
It looks good.
Okay.
Okay, the MPV, which has found love again.
It-
It was discarded
Sure.
for much of like when it existed and much
20 years
after, but
after.
now it's come back.
Yeah, it was
So,
all-wheel drive minivan.
it's back in POG form. Okay, the Mitsubishi
Don't know.
V3000.
Okay. Nissan 180SX.
Oh yeah,
Interesting.
it's kind of. It was just kind of like subcompact two-door.
Ooh, but it's a cool look.
Yeah, yeah.
Loved by drift people.
True.
It was famously had a truck engine, and that's a car. There was one that remember there was one on bat for like 38 grand. Like
I did not know
maybe
that.
a year
That's
ago.
insane.
Maybe it was like a year ago, and the whole thing is like that had a truck engine just for the U.S. market. That's
Holy shit, that's
Anyway.
crazy. Okay, so the Nissan Cifaro, which is cool. The SEMA is also cool. That's kind of like a sedan thing. I think the SEMA might have been pillarless if you got like the Braham version.
Ooh,
Yeah.
love a good Brougham.
Yeah. The Opel Vectra. So this was the basis for the Saab 900. I don't know if it was this era though.
Oh, I'm
Anyways.
sobbing, baby.
Oh yeah. Okay, the Renault 19. Don't know what that is. Suzuki
It succeeded the 18.
Yeah. The Suzuki Vitara. The Tata Telcolim. Okay, none of these cars are relevant to us. A bunch of TVRs.
Corrado.
Oh, the Corrado came out then. Look at that. And the Passat
B3, which
B3,
I'm sure
which
sucks.
no, that one was not good looking.
Is that the one without a grill?
No, that was the one after. I like that one.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was that came out in the 90s, I think.
Okay.
And
Well,
then-
we've got enough to
yeah.
FMK
You want
here,
to talk
I
about the
think.
Wartburg 1.3?
Shut up.
Okay. So, why don't you go first? You pick 3 from me.
Okay. All right. I'm going to say Z1, Corrado, and Taurus Show.
Okay.
That is a good combo, I must say.
Yeah. Okay. I think I am going to marry the show.
Yeah,
F the Z1.
Yes.
And I know you wanted me to kill the Corrado, so
This played perfectly.
I was not going to give you unreasonable answers, so you got what you wanted,
I
you son
did.
of a bitch.
Wow.
all
All the
right.
Volkswagen people are going to come after you now.
Okay, I'm gonna give you
All right.
the Audi V8.
All right. Give me an F and an M now.
I'm gonna give you the Chrysler's TC by Maserati,
Okay.
and then I'll give you the Probe.
Oh, this is fucked. Oh. All right. Can we look at the Audi V8? I already know what it looks like. It looks like a half evolved, like bloated.
It looks like a bank commercial car.
Okay. I don't want to see it. Oh, all right. I guess I would marry the Audi.
Wow, with the BBS wheels that I'm showing you here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It has to be just like that.
Yeah.
Um. What was the first one?
Oh,
Okay. It was
Ford Probe,
yes, and
Chrysler's TC by Maserati.
oh, I hate to do this. I would drive the Ford Probe and crush the TC by Maserati.
Wow,
Like I
wow.
couldn't crush the Probe. Just even though it's not even my Probe, I couldn't crush the Probe. And I like driving a Maserati TC Chryslers. Who cares? I drove it once.
guess you drove one once.
No, I'm saying if
Oh.
if I did the F.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Who cares?
Wow.
Yeah.
Riveting. My God. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I really like turned the screw and got you with my submissions, and then
I
you
knew
did the
you wanted-
same to me.
you did that.
You got
You
your
were- that
result.
was
You got your
just
result you wanted.
evil. Anyways, so I think that is an episode. So
Unfortunately.
thanks for listening. Do follow us on Instagram at new496. Twitter, all the same. Email us if you must. We're not going to tell you what that is.
It's linked.
Yeah,
Okay.
as that goes. Anyways, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.